Leaders, in this week's video, I want to share with you 3 things that I suggest that you stop doing. They might sound like a good idea, but they're actually negatively affecting the success and engagement of your team members. I'm Morgan Quist, I'm your Thrival Guide, and I partner with leaders and organizations to help them shift from surviving to thriving in their careers. The first thing that I suggest that you stop doing is having all the answers. There can be a lot of pressure as a manager when your team members come to you with challenges or problems to have the answers, especially for new managers. But instead, approach your team members in a coach-like manner. Ask them open-ended questions so that they're learning and they're more engaged. Imagine asking that team member, "What data do you have about this issue? Who do you think we need to include in the process? What do you think the real problem is to solve? What suggestions do you have on how to solve it? How might we test that idea?" Think about how they're going to feel valued for their opinion, what they're going to learn as they think through it strategically and have to connect the dots. They're going to be much more engaged and they're going to learn so much more than if you just gave them the answer. So that's tip number 1. Tip number 2 is to stop treating everyone the same. That might sound like the fair, good thing to do too, but instead of looking at your team as a collective, you've got to look at them as individual team members. They all have different strengths. They all have different ways that they prefer to be recognized, different things they have to learn, different career goals. You've got to build individual relationships with each of them instead of looking at them as a whole and instead of treating them all the same. Tip number 3 is to stop avoiding mistakes. Of course, you don't want to make mistakes, but you don't want to create a culture in which your team members are operating on a day-to-day basis trying to avoid mistakes. It creates fear. They're not going to feel comfortable sharing their thoughts with you, their opinions, their ideas on how to improve the process or the product, because what if it's not successful? What if it leads to mistakes or failure? So you've got to give them room to share ideas. And instead of having this fear-based culture, to have a trust-based culture. And you learn from your mistakes. And I'm not talking about a team member who consistently makes the same mistake and you've got to have some performance discussion with them. I'm talking about the overall culture that you create for your team. So hopefully you find these tips helpful, especially for new managers. It can be kind of a relief not to have all the answers and treat everyone the same and have an avoid mistakes culture. So I hope that's helpful. I'm Morgan Quist. I'm your Thrival Guide, and I partner with leaders and organizations to help them shift from surviving to thriving in their careers. I encourage you to subscribe to my YouTube channel where I provide weekly roadmaps on how to thrive. And feel free to share any questions or comments below this video. I'll be sure to respond, and I look forward to seeing you next time.